All right. Well, welcome
connecting.
everyone. I think everybody's still coming in. Very good. All right. I think we are ready to go. So Kathleen, would you like to go ahead and give us a kickoff? Kathleen, you're still muted.
Thank you so much, Mitch. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this Thursday afternoon. On behalf of Chancellor Henry Mack for the Division of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, we welcome you to the second in a series of programmatic content around entrepreneurship education and training. As you know, 2 weeks ago, the department announced the release of our 2021 RFP, competitive application, for what we're calling Advancing Career and Technical Education through Entrepreneurship Education and Training Grant Program, or EET for short. This is a $1 million investment from our federal Perkins set-aside. And this grant really does aim to scale innovative practices through entrepreneurship education and training for our CTE students, both secondary and post-secondary. We imagine this grant opportunity for school districts, our school district technical colleges, and our Florida college system institutions as a way to forge new partnerships and relationships with industry and other stakeholders. So today we are pleased to host this second webinar on the topic of EET. Our partners at FACTE, NFTE, and Uncharted Learning have teamed up to develop this really excellent series. If you were not with us on Tuesday, please note this is a rerun, and then henceforth all other webinars will be covering some unique content. I do want to take a moment for a little bit of housekeeping. If you'll please just continue to mute yourself and turn off your video until after the formal presentation, we would really appreciate it. And so now it's my pleasure to turn it over to our colleagues at Uncharted Learning, Mitch Coulter, and NFTE's Jeannine Schloss. Thank you so much.
Awesome, Kathleen, thank you very much. And first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking some time out of what I know and can only imagine is a crazy time of year for you guys, and really working to come here and start to think about what can happen. What's the potential for the future for our students, and what can we do? What can you do to really support them and through this grant? So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Mitch Coulter. I have been with the team at Uncharted Learning for about 2 years now. I've been in education for my entire career, first as a teacher and then kind of into the private sector. And during my time, I've seen a lot of education programs. And I think what really excited me about entrepreneurship education is really what it does for students. And I think today we're going to talk a little bit about that and dive into some ideas for you about what this grant is all about and then what it can do for your students. So Jeannine?
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. Hi, everyone. I'm Jeannine Schloss. I'm from NFTE, which is the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Very similarly to Mitch, I have also been in education my entire life, from the teaching world to the administration world to the online world, and landing at NFTE. And again, to put it into perspective, the work that we are both able to do to really cultivate youth and looking at opportunity and being able to seize it and really look at their future in different ways and through a different lens is what we're able to do through entrepreneurship education, while along the way supporting teachers and educators and administrators within the initiatives that they have. So we're excited to be here today. We're hoping to give you a small dose into what can be considered a successful entrepreneurship program. And we will be opening up some polls and some question and answer along the way. So get ready for the ride.
All right. So our first poll question, and you know, we want to get to know you a little bit better, to understand where you're from and kind of what you've got going on. So Margarita, if you want to launch that first poll, tell us a little bit about where you're located, and whether or not you are part of a secondary or post-secondary institution. Here we go.
All right.
All right. Pretty good balance here, which is great.
About 50%. We knew we got some more people out there.
And interesting, a good mix of secondary and post-secondary as well, so that's great.
Yeah, and a nice representation from all 5 regions of the state. So we're excited to have you.
That's right. That's right. Awesome. Can everybody see those poll results as they're coming in? I think so. I know as a host I can see all of that. So
we can't see them.
Oh, we cannot. You can't see them. Okay. So I think Margarita, I think we're good on the end of their share results. So there you go. Gives you a little bit of an idea. A lot from South Florida and a lot of secondary folks. It was close. It looked like it was close on Region 3 and Region 5. So very cool. All right. That being said, agenda. Jeannine, you want to go ahead and kick that off?
Oh, sorry. Picking it up. Okay. So during today's agenda, we are going to talk to you about why entrepreneurship is so important. Based upon our experiences, based upon data and statistics and research that's been done, why it is an integral part of and what we consider a pillar of the education system for youth. What are those 3 pillars of successful entrepreneurship infused CTE programs? What do you need to focus on and look for when you're creating a program for this specific RFP? Looking at the different levels of impact that the RFP defines and giving some suggested scenarios or helpful activities and hints to think about as you're planning and outlining what happens. And we will go over what's next. This is not the last you will see of us or hear of us. So we will have a series of different webinars that are deep and focused to be able to help you within your planning needs. And as always, we will have questions and answers throughout the way. So why entrepreneurship? So by 2021, it is noted that employers are looking for skill sets and mindsets of entrepreneurs within their employees. They're looking for people who can bring creativity and innovation, who understand and can value themselves, that know how to brand themselves and maneuver the space. They're looking for people that can look at the future and that are willing to take risks, learn new skills, learn new tools. And this is what's so important. Us being able to prepare our youth for jobs right now that don't even exist is key to not only providing them with what we think they need, but what we know they need in order to be successful and for what is going to make them stand apart from other people going after the same job. Given where we are with COVID and seeing so many people out of work, having an entrepreneurial mindset and a skill set enables people to figure out how they can make money and work for themselves given situations like this, or how they can find another path so that they can support their family and initiatives that are important to them. And that's one of the reasons why entrepreneurship is so important. Looking more at the data behind it, 90% of employers identify entrepreneurial skills as extremely important. The future of work is entrepreneurial. 1 in 3 US employers want to hire people with entrepreneurial experience. So not just someone that can weld or can hit a nail with a hammer or who can write a really good resume, but someone who can really speak to how they can use their skill set and their mindset within the job that's at hand and be thinking about the future. 65% of the jobs for kids entering school today do not exist yet. So that means Mitch's children, my children, your children. They will be doing jobs that we haven't even thought of. And so having an entrepreneurial mindset is key because we can't necessarily train them for everything that they're about to experience, but we can embed them and within them a skill set and a mindset for being able to look at something that comes their way and knowing how to tackle it. And by the year 2027, some say 2030, 50% of the US is going to be a freelancer. So they will be consulting in some way. They They are already doing that now. They might be working for several employers at one time, but they'll be doing something that they love to do. And in doing so, they will feel and be successful.
Exactly, Jeannine. And I think one of the things that we look at when we think about entrepreneurship education and this experience that students will be getting in an entrepreneurship experience is that it's not only preparing them to, historically the way schools have prepared students for the future is that they're getting them ready and getting them prepared to go out into the world and work for someone else and get a job and be successful. Whereas entrepreneurship education really gives them that skill set and that experience to go out and work for themselves and to start their own businesses. And that's never really been more important today more important than it is today. A couple more kind of, as we're really looking to support the growth of the economy within Florida, within the rest of the country. By the year 2030, there will be at least 600 million young people. So this is, not quite Jeannine and my children, but soon thereafter will be my kids coming in there. But 600 million young people will be out there looking for jobs. And one of the things that we've seen historically is that 20% of that gross job growth is coming from new businesses that are being built. And so those new businesses are critical. We have to continue to grow new businesses in order to support the employment of all of those folks. The hard part in looking at this is that in the past 20 years or so, kind of looking at some of the data, in 1997, 34% of new entrepreneurs, so entrepreneurs, people starting new businesses, 20 to 34 years old, 34% of those were entrepreneurs. Today in kind of the past few years, only that's decreased to about 25%. So we have to provide these opportunities for our students to really explore what it's like to start their own business. So let's kick off one more poll. Here, Margarita, hit that button. All right, so are you within your district, share a little bit with us, are you currently running an entrepreneurship program? And if so, is that entrepreneurship program a standalone program, or is it one that's embedded into a specific CTE pathway? And then of course, no, you can mention that you're not running an entrepreneurship program. So it was kind of some fun data to see.
If you happen to be doing both and you're amazingly dynamic, I would say answer the one where you have the most students. All right, good portion.
One, keeping on trucking. Yeah, my boys will not start working for probably another, I guess in about 10 years, one of them will.
Does it count when you have them work at home?
All right, awesome. So Margarita, do you want to share that data? Everybody, let's see. Can we see that information? Everybody can see that, hopefully. Oops. All right, so this is great to see that a lot of you guys are already running entrepreneurship, but it's really split. It's embedded and as well as a standalone program. So very, very cool. All right, on to our entrepreneurial pillars. Jeannine?
Yeah, thank you for the cue so I don't miss the last one. So what are the entrepreneurial pillars of success? So within the work that Mitch and I have done, what we really know and understand is that giving students experiences drives their inquiry and their interest. So when you're able to give them authentic learning experiences that involve things that they care about or ways that they can make connections between the work that they're doing in school academics and the real world, they're going to be driven to have and ask questions and have an interest and want to know more. And as a result, they're going to be driven to perform. Three important pillars to that success are developing an entrepreneurial mindset. This is something that needs to be developed not only within our students, but also within our teachers. At the end of the day, the buck honestly stops with the teacher in the classroom. And so we must make sure that our students are getting the benefit of everything teachers have to offer. And in order to, talk the talk, teachers need to walk the walk. And having an entrepreneurial mindset within teaching allows teachers to kind of step back and allow their children to experience grit. That growth mindset that's so talked about, to make mistakes and to fail, and to not be necessarily driven to be providing students with the answers, but instead letting them search for those answers because they'll remember it more and it'll be more meaningful to them. Entrepreneurial mindset development involves letting students and teachers take risks, involves having them look at the future. Many times our students are coming to school, especially days like 2020, and they might be focused on survival, when they're going to get their next meal, where they're going to find a place to wash their clothes. And so getting students to be able to look at the future as something a little bit different, being able to recognize and seize opportunity within themselves, being able to dig down into that creativity and innovation that oftentimes isn't tapped into soon enough, is key into their success as a human being and a member of our society. Having content that's based on a PBL approach. So project-based, experiential, authentic, letting them perform what they understand and know, not just giving them a test that expects them to answer some multiple choice questions. So making sure that it's research-based and that it's engaging, and that it goes through a true cycle where they're able to build and learn and measure, knowing that students sitting in the class might be at different places at different times, and that's okay. That's what PBL content was meant to do. And finally, a stakeholder connectedness, utilizing and tapping into your community from the network that exists, to volunteer experiences, to being able to develop a true career pathway that might lead into apprenticeships and internships, and really having a strong focus on economic transformation within that local community and connecting students to their local community so they can see and get the benefits from it are essential and key. I think what entrepreneurship does that keeps me going within it, and Mitch as well, is the fact that students oftentimes can see ways and opportunities for themselves, see ways and opportunities for their own families, and as a means of doing so are also impacting their own local community to thrive and become better places to live.
So thinking about these 3 pillars, as you are looking at the grant opportunity that's in front of you, what are those goals? What are those things that you're thinking about to really set your application aside to really grow that within your school and district community? So there's really kind of 3 key components that we want to keep in mind as we're looking at this. The main goals are really that content. What does the content and resources look like? How will I be engaging with my community? And how are we going to support your teacher development to make sure that they're ready, that they are focused, and that they're prepared to teach this kind of a course? Experiential content and resources. What does the curriculum look like? What is the program that you're looking at trying to bring into your school, into your district look like? So there's a lot of different options here as we think about all those different varieties of the types of programs that can be integrated. I can develop full courses that are going to be integrated directly into my CTE pathways, or that could be a capstone course that's put on for all of your CTE experiences. They could be co-curricular. Students could be coming in to do that after school as part of an after school program. There are opportunities for boot camps and for various types of pitch competitions. Or really standing up a full-on accelerator incubator experience. So those are the types of, those are just a handful of options for what you can do as you're thinking about that content for your students to experience entrepreneurship. All of those really thinking to be focused on project-based learning, authenticity, to get them out of the classroom and really working on what it means to be an entrepreneur. Community connectedness or engagement. How will you be building that ecosystem of entrepreneurs within your community? Who are those local volunteers? What are those organizations that you're going to be connecting with to integrate this into the culture of your school and of your district? Who are those community business leaders, and how will they be participating in student instruction, providing mentorship opportunities to students as they're really growing their businesses? And finally, how are you thinking about developing your teachers? What are you going to be doing to support them through professional development, through training, to prepare them to teach entrepreneurship? You know, what is it? Who is that teacher? What is that teacher going to look like as they're teaching this type of course? And then continuing beyond that towards building a teacher community of practice, a teacher community of practice. So that this is where teachers are collaborating, where they're working together to share ideas and to push each other to produce the best experience for their students. So these are all considerations as you're working through that grant opportunity or through this kind of process, thinking about those three pillars and those key objectives as you're working through that process. So let's take a quick question and answer break. Everyone has a chat functionality that they can access. And within that, go ahead and type in any questions that you might be having for Jeannine and I. Do we have any questions yet? Is the question.
Don't be shy.
Is it possible to get a copy of the PowerPoint? Absolutely. That will definitely be shared. We will make sure that, I think Kathleen, we can probably post that onto the Department of Ed website.
Absolutely.
And then FACTE can link to it as well. This won't be our only stop for questions, but maybe we'll give it a few more seconds to see. You're welcome to type in the chat box as well, or take the mic.
And Jeannine and Mitch, I also want to share in the chat, I shared the web location for the RFP, as well as that same URL where we posted recordings from our applicant workshop last week, in case any of our attendees today did not have a chance to join us at that time.
Awesome.
And Mitch and Jeannine, we have a couple questions. One of them is this grant only for entrepreneurship programs?
I don't know that would be, I mean, I think, what I've heard and kind of how we've been going through this may actually be a better question for Kathleen, but the goal of the grant is entrepreneurship education and training. So how you work that is up to you, but I think that's the ultimate goal. Kathleen, do you have any input on that, or Jeannine?
Yeah, Mitch, I think that's a great response. I think maybe the person, Jennifer, asking the question was maybe referring to our specific state board adopted entrepreneurship curriculum frameworks. And if that is the case, Jennifer, I just want to confirm what you've heard today, that this program is not limited to those frameworks. This is very much a co-curricular, interdisciplinary approach to entrepreneurship and wanting to really infuse it across all career clusters. So it's not just limited to those few programs that you know of on both the secondary and the post-secondary side.
And I will encourage you to think, Jennifer, and to everyone, that it doesn't necessarily mean implementing an entrepreneurship curriculum, though that certainly is an option, right? And that can be done in an interdisciplinary approach. But it's also about thinking through the mindset and how to embed those soft skills, and I think Mitch and I really call them life skills, within a curricular approach within any classroom. So it doesn't have to be that you're creating entrepreneurs, but what we like to say is that you're creating entrepreneurs, or people who understand their value, know how to market themselves, and know how to go out and get what they want, despite circumstances.
We have another follow-up question from a timing perspective. Someone who is recognizing this is a short grant period. So I think that question may have two parts. One is it required that the entrepreneurship education programs be completed by June 30th? And if so, are there any thoughts as to which of these key elements might be addressed in this short time frame? So if you want to address that set of timing questions first.
So this
You
is
want me-
Kathleen, and I'll take the first one if that's okay. Yes, we
Sure.
recognize that, Lisa, and the grant period will run through June 30th, 2021. And I'll defer to my colleagues on the second part, because that's really what this series of webinars is all about.
So I'll jump off, Mitch, and then
Sure.
I'll send it over to you. In terms of the key elements that might be addressed, we're going to go through some examples, but that's reasoning why the DOE decided to make different levels of impact within the grant to ensure that people could do an exploratory type of program that may not have a high lift, but might be able to assess needs and pilot something to see where it might go. Those specific districts that might already have some things going could build on to what they're already doing and even pursue some newer things. So your flexibility within this grant and within this funding allows you to do what you can within that time period to ensure that the work that you're doing is impactful and that you have meaningful measures of output to then take next steps. Because this won't be the last funding that'll end up getting released. There will be
Exactly.
more.
You know, perhaps a good way of thinking about that is this gives you an opportunity to try something new and to explore a new approach to entrepreneurship, to CTE, integrating entrepreneurship into CTE pathways. So it's an experimental time, but I would certainly think that the objective is that this extends beyond this June 30th deadline. There's so many possibilities there.
And Mitch and Jeannine, and perhaps Kathleen, if you could follow up on that. I remember in planning meetings, it talked about also that given some of the high level impact opportunities that may require between now and June 30th as preparation time, and the actual implementation would not occur until the next school year. Kathleen, would you like to clarify, would that type of approach be appropriate for this grant?
Sure, Margarita, and that is actually accounted for in the RFP. I want to direct our attendees to take a look at the 3 options that are available for high impact, medium high impact, or medium impact. And I think you'll find language in medium impact that speaks to the concept of beginning to explore, launch a foundational or exploratory EET related initiative, focus on teacher training and planning for the integration of entrepreneurship competencies. So the RFP gives that flexibility, but I want to just ensure that everyone goes back and looks at the specific language for each one of our tiered funding approaches.
Fantastic. And working our way down the list of questions, there is another one regarding the grant. Is it renewable or is it only for 1 year?
All righty, technical RFP questions. Well, this grant is currently, we're not considering this for any sort of renewable phase. At this point, the project and budget period will end on June 30th. However, if you've heard Chancellor Mack speak before, you know that in our 4-year Perkins 5 state plan, we have a number of strategies for how we want to move the needle in this area. Across secondary and post-secondary, and I would imagine there will be additional investments forthcoming.
Fantastic. And we have 2 more questions in the queue. One is, can you recommend any professional development sources for instructors?
Jeannine, I think, Jeannine, I will take this for both of us. Both of our organizations have developed professional development experiences to support entrepreneurship education and training. So that's definitely conversations that Jeannine and I are happy to have with you.
I believe as well, the DOE did a great job of listing resources on the RFP paperwork too. So
yes,
like Mitch and I said, we're, like Mitch said, we are both engaged deeply in this work and are fond of that type of work. So if you do some basic research or reach out to either one of us, we're happy to talk to you about what might be possible or what might work within that. Keep in mind as you're writing this RFP to think about measures of ways that you can have sustainability, because it is important for you to be able to think through whatever that you're using the funding for, how you can continue to do that type of work. So keep that in the back of your head as you are writing, because that is an important element of this work.
And one more question. With the increased emphasis on entrepreneurship, do we foresee the business entrepreneurship industry regarding certification being added to the Florida DOE funding list?
Kathleen, I mean, I'm happy to share some insights, but that might be more you.
Let's pass that off to Kathleen, sorry.
Well, that's a great question. Thanks, colleagues. We did receive this question during our application funding workshop last week, and I know Chancellor Mack has indicated that he's beginning to hear of conversations occurring in industry about the development of an actual third-party industry certification. And so as you well know, there's a process for that on the secondary CAPE side of the house, as well as the post-secondary CAPE side of the house. In addition to a specifically focused entrepreneurship industry certification, you know, the other advantage we see is through the infusion of EET in CTE. We think that is yet another milestone or opportunity for our students to earn those related industry certifications. So if we begin to see EET in manufacturing or in engineering, we believe it will only further enhance students' ability to earn those discipline-specific industry certifications. So we're excited for the future on both fronts.
Okay, I think we have covered the questions in the chat feature at this point.
All
Awesome.
right.
Thank you, Margarita. You're amazing. Okay, so we are going to dive a little bit into impact levels today, and we will go deeper into those in the next few weeks. What's really important is that your level of impact actually does drive your funding. So when you are implementing and reading through the RFP, there are 3 levels, medium, medium high, and high. And those range in level from $25,000 to $100,000, depending on what you are going to be implementing within the program. So medium impact, some key components that we've pulled out, but again, please read the RFP very closely, are that you need at least one entrepreneurship activity within it. This can be a great way to do some planning and some exploration, as Kathleen referenced, in terms of an initiative that you hope to go ahead and release further down the line, or a potential pilot. So something that, as Mitch addressed, you want to do something new. You have an idea to try something, but you're not ready to test it on a bigger scale. Some of the ideas to consider: rolling out a teacher training and support mechanisms, and integrating the mindset for readiness within workforce, career, life development, any academic or even any CTE program. The entrepreneurial mindset will help enable students to be more successful. Developing curricular options for entrepreneurial implementation in a specific CTE pathway. So let's say you want to pilot something or give it a try, and you are looking at different CTE pathways, and you say, you know, we have an abundance of students in this, let's give this a go. This is a great opportunity to see if it works, or to see where you need to tweak it, so that you can create something more sustainable moving forward. Or finally, connecting students and teachers to local college, career, workforce readiness, and startup opportunities. So being able to create maybe an event or a pipeline for students to be able to go and have experiences, so that you're connecting that 6 through 16 secondary to post-secondary connection.
And so a medium high impact. This is the next level of kind of funding at $50,000. There's an incorporation of at least 2 of those EET activities. It may involve a higher number of students than the medium impact. And the focus is really on the integration of entrepreneurship throughout teaching and learning, and even diving into some cross-curricular connections. So some ideas to consider in thinking about this level of implementation application. Choosing to implement across multiple CTE pathways and academies within the district. So this could serve the entrepreneurship experience that is developed could serve as a capstone. It could serve as a melting pot for a lot of different CTE pathways to come together to share ideas. Think about what you're going to get from a small business or someone coming together, sharing ideas about plumbing and about construction and about nursing and all of these different pathways kind of coming together. The real kind of conglomeration is a really neat idea. Creating an opportunity for interdisciplinary collaboration. So a lot of the work that students are doing in here, whether it's public speaking, whether it's working on marketing plans, there's a lot of writing that's in writing and critical thinking that is involved in this process. And so that cross-disciplinary collaboration is critical. So incorporating that into the grant application, connecting students to the outside world, to local college, career workforce, to volunteers, bringing those folks into the school or out, having students go out to meet some of those folks. How are you connecting with various components of your community? Finally, integrating, and I kind of mentioned this capstone course as well, but as really entrepreneurship leading into that capstone experience for the students. So there's a lot of different options there within the medium level. So finally.
High impact. So the high impact is your $100,000 funding piece. In the high impact, they're looking for 3 entrepreneurship activities. And keep in mind, Mitch and I hadn't mentioned this yet, but there are activities listed in the RFP. You are not bound by those activities. They are meant to get you to start thinking. They're all amazing ideas. So you can start thinking and using those to go and develop what works best for you and for your district. This is a great way to have a collaborative partner effort, especially because it does involve so much impact and a high number of students and teachers, and showing your evidence of increased knowledge. And that kind of goes along the way of thinking through how you will demonstrate the increased knowledge and entrepreneurial mindset that the students and teachers are gaining through the activities in which they participate. Ideas to consider are a true secondary, post-secondary pathway, an opportunity for 6 through 12 to collaborate with a technical college or college or university level to create a funnel and some really neat opportunities, even mentoring opportunities for young people to see and envision their own pathway. Collaborate across district boundaries. If you are a smaller district, working with other districts, creating a consortium of sorts to really pull together capacity to do something really big and great for your youth within the area. And possibly considering a series of initiatives that might culminate in some sort of big stakeholder event. Specifically, when you're talking about sustainability, having an event where students and or teachers can demonstrate their learning and their knowledge, and bringing stakeholders into that event to talk through sustainability and best practices of how to keep that around are key in this high impact measure.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of wrap up with this one is this grant really gives you the opportunity as a district to get creative, to try and think, to think about what are the possibilities, and whether you're medium, high, or high level. That's what's exciting, I think, is it gives you an idea, gives you, if you had something that you've been thinking about, entrepreneurship can connect that in some way. You got to get creative. So that's kind of where it lands. All right, we have one more poll. Margarita, you want to hit that one? Which impact level are you guys thinking about applying for? And you may not have a decision made. You're still exploring possibilities. I know on Tuesday we saw a lot of those, that folks were really still exploring possibilities.
It looks like about 50% of the people are, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And we're about split even between the impact levels, which is great.
All right, Margarita, you want to share those results with everyone? There we go.
Thank you.
So yeah, about half you guys are still exploring, so that's exciting.
We'll see you next week.
that tees us up nicely, right?
Yeah.
For where we go next. Jeannine. I will let you take that away.
Okay, so what's next? We do have a series of webinars that will be coming up over the next 4 weeks on Tuesdays and Thursdays, same time, same place. All of our webinars, in case you missed them, will be hosted on the DOE site that we will give you in just a second. But you can use this link to register if you haven't already. You will notice that we're going to take some time to go deep into those impact measures and explore some programmatic ideas. We will encourage you to come with questions, to come with ideas to share with us, to get feedback so that we can help guide you in the best direction possible that might fit your teachers and your students' needs. Within that grouping of webinars, we will also have a pure open question and answer session. So if you are in the process of constructing that specific RFP and you kind of hit a roadblock or don't know where to go, we will encourage you to pop in at any time over that time period to ask us questions. Again, these are questions related to the programmatic pieces of the RFP that we will be able to answer. The DOE will also be online to help answer any technical questions that you might have. We will be hosting a special one on a 6 through 12 post-secondary pathway, along with some best practices in RFP writing and additional Q&A sessions before the RFP is due.
All right, so what I did include the link for the webinar sign up within there, but to kind of wrap up, there will be an FAQ posted in that location. We're pulling those questions together. There's kind of two types. There are the technical RFP questions that I am very thankful, Kathleen, that you were here today to field some of those. But I'm learning, I'm getting some of that too, so I'll become more comfortable with that. But the entrepreneurship kind of program questions that Jeannine and I are here for, we're here to support you guys on those, and those FAQ documents will be posted there, as well as the session recordings. So those will be coming out in an email as a follow-up, and then they'll also be posted onto the DOE website. So that being said, any other questions that we've got here? I think that was our last slide. But thank you all.
And I posted the FAQ, thanks Margarita, she did it as well, in the chat box for them as well. Thank you,
Again,
Cindy, for joining us.
Thank you all for hopping in. This is, like we said at the outset, it's a crazy time, I can only imagine. So taking a few hours, taking some time out of your day to kind of join us and talk about some of this stuff, we appreciate it. We're excited about this and what it can do for your students and for Florida. So
we are going to stick around in case you do have any additional questions to ask at this point. But that is all the information we have to present for today. So again, thank you on behalf of both Mitch and myself for being a part of this.